You're listening to the Oneofus.net podcast network. One of Us is a podcast and video network funded all but entirely by donations and subscriptions. We do accept pitches for audio-based or banner ads, but on a case-by-case basis. If you're interested in that, contact us at oneofusnet@gmail.com. With the amount of audio and video content we generate, it is expensive and extremely time-consuming to keep things running. Please go to the webpage oneofus.net and sign up for a subscription at $2, $5, $10, or $25 and get a ton of bonus content. One of Us needs and appreciates all your support.
Necromancer Podcast is now proud to be a part of the One of Us Podcast Network. I'm Shira, and I like rom-coms.
I'm Brett. I like horror movies, and every week we not only watch and review a rom-com or horror, we remix those movies.
That's right. Ever wonder what the stalker classic There's Something About Mary might look like as a slasher?
Or what Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell would look like as a heartfelt romance instead?
Don't worry, just because it's a love story doesn't mean it can't have a decapitation or two.
Necromancer Podcast, where sweet meets scary. Listen now.
I don't know about you, but if you were a theater nerd like I was, it got drilled into your head that you're never supposed to say things like Macbeth in a theater. You don't say good luck. You say break a leg. For whatever reason, it's a superstition. I never bought any of it. I mean, when no one was looking, I walked under the ladders. I don't fucking care. I was tempting fate. But apparently there are people in this world who really take that shit seriously. I don't know what the podcasting equivalent is, like break your mic. I hope your headphones snap. No. But I think we will be lucky enough to get through this review without any technical difficulties or horrible mishaps. Things go bad in the theater when you don't follow these superstitious traditions, apparently. I'm talking today about a brand new Netflix film from director Julia Hart called Don't Say Good Luck. It's described as a musical teen drama from Adam Sandler's production company, Happy Madison Productions, and starring a young lady named Sunny Sandler, who I am sure is no relation to Adam Sandler. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I am joined by two very good friends of mine to discuss this brand new show, Neil.
Hello.
And Ray.
Hello.
I don't know what all, if any, theater background you guys have, but I do think for a certain type of individual, this might trigger certain memories of high school and college, the days of when you had to go and like audition, and then you run the next day to the hallway to see the board, to see the cast list announcements. And you're going to see a lot of that here. Again, Sophie, I'm sure no relation. Sunny Sandler is a young lady. She's a 16-year-old theater kid in high school. She is auditioning for a role in the musical Waitress. She leads a pretty normal life. Her mom and dad, played by Max Greenfield and Melanie Linsky, are just nice average parents. They run a deli together. She's got two little brothers. She seems to have an ideal life. But then, right before her audition, she gets a butt call from her dad, and she overhears her parents talking about something that foretells some very bad news. And it turns out that the mother has had cancer in the past and has fought it and won, but this time it is back, and it's probably a lot more aggressive. That's right. This is a coming-of-age melodrama about a nerdy teenage girl and her very sick, dying mother. I'm sure they're not going to pull on our heartstrings at all. You know, I don't have much of a heart left anyway, but I don't know about you guys. Did you find this emotionally affecting, and did you enjoy the experience of following the travails of Sunny Sandler?
This was something when I went into it I knew very little about. I heard the word musical, and I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Then I also looked and I saw, okay, it's Adam Sandler's production company, and he himself can be hit or miss for me. And, oh, look, you know, that person who obviously is not related to him is the lead in the movie. And I was going, oh, boy, is this just going to be some kind of nepotism, and I'm going to hate this. But musical, so I'm in. And if you're going to ask me if I was affected by it, yeah, this hit me harder than I thought it was going to hit me. I didn't realize, I guess, not knowing much about it, that they were going to go where they went, that they were going to introduce the cancer with the mother. I only knew about the High School Musical part, and I wanted to see what they were going to do with that. But I will admit, I needed the Kleenex by the time this was over.
Well, I'm sure Neil did as well, but that was probably just because of allergies, right?
A little bit from allergies, but the rest of it was this movie. I went in similar of I thought it was a musical about a musical, and it's Adam Sandler's daughter. Okay, why not? Not so much for like, is it going to be a car wreck, but it's something different. It is not a musical about a musical. It's what you said, Marco. It's a coming of age movie, and it's done extremely well. I think they don't force it. There's no over the top trying to shove a certain theme or stereotypes or anything down your throat. And when they're dealing with the heaviness of teenage life in high school and competition and a crazy busy family that has its own faults and flaws, like you see that there's not a great connection to the grandparents, and then you got the serious of life and death coming in with the cancer returning. It handled it all so well, not just the story but all the actors. I think it's extremely well done on all fronts. This could play, I think, in any time frame. They didn't lean on cell phones or any particular tech. I think it stands a little bit of that time that you can watch this 20 years later and it will still play all the right notes and hit all the right notes because the cast is so good, because the story, the way it unrolls. The only thing I don't find believable is these two little rambunctious brothers of hers that at one point are barking and growling at each other, that somehow they stayed quiet during her play and they were still awake. That's the only thing, because they're just nonstop, blah, 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 and somehow they were quiet during her play when we finally get to that. That's the only thing, but how the teenage dynamics and how all that interacts, and with parents and grandparents, all of it, I thought it was done extremely well because it was even-handed all the way through.
I would like to think that the little brothers were like the note from Adam Sandler. Like, can we have them in the background, like pooping or something? Or like, we can get some comedy. Those kids can like be roughhousing in the back and hitting themselves with like hockey sticks. And then somebody's like, that's a good note, Adam. We'll take it. But we're going to tone it down. And you're right. This is one of those films where it probably will benefit you going into it knowing as little as possible. It's the same reason why Mel Brooks wouldn't put his name on the Elephant Man, because he knew once the audience saw the name Mel Brooks on the title card that he was going to lose the audience. They were going to think, oh, this is a completely different kind of movie. And so Adam Sandler, I mean, the Happy Madison slate is right up there. He's in the credits, but his kind of approach to humor, it's held back here. It's in check. This movie is not without humor. It's not without some funny moments here and there. I think it's a testament to the efforts of Julia Hart, who is directing and co-writing this, that they managed to find some of the heart and humor in this without it ever getting too broad. If anything, it leans really hard into the melodrama and the pathos, and that could feel very manipulative. And knowing what I know about sort of the Adam Sandler Netflix industrial complex, where it seems like, hey, Adam Sandler's going to make a movie and just invite all of his friends and to hang out in some nice location somewhere. I was kind of dreading it might be that. And it's not that, even though it features some appearances from some regular Sandler stock company players like John Lovitz and Steve Buscemi. I also thought the worst possible version of this movie is just a very expensive demo reel for Sonny Sandler to submit to Juilliard when she's ready to go to college. But she acquits herself well. I think the whole cast makes this work. This could be very treacly material. And I think a lot of that credit goes to Melanie Lynskey as Elizabeth, the mother. Melanie Lynskey is someone who's been acting for years, and she's appeared in tons of TV and film, And I didn't realize until today that she's actually one of the stars of Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures. She's from New Zealand, but she steps into this American mom rather effortlessly. And she's really, for me, the thing that makes this movie work.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that because I did know that she was in it. Melanie Linsky was in it before watching this. And she is one of those actresses that I like in basically everything that she's in. And I don't think I've seen anything that she's in that I've seen that I didn't like and that I didn't think that was better because she was in it. And so I was excited to see her, but also like you, I was wondering about, yes, this expensive audition tape. And I think one of the things that probably saves it is not just that Sunny Sandler seems to be someone who can handle this type of role. And she, like you said, she acquits herself well. But I think it is a testament maybe to Adam Sandler that he did not step in to direct this. Maybe somewhere in the back he realized, hey, even if this is an expensive audition tape for my daughter, maybe I shouldn't be the one directing my daughter. And I think we're all better off for that. Like I said, Adam Sandler's hit and miss for me, and I don't want to just go, Adam, you did the right thing. But I think I'm going to say, Adam, you did the right thing letting somebody else direct this.
Yeah, Max Greenfield as the father, Ted, is also doing good work in this. But the whole time I was watching it, I kept thinking, this is the Adam Sandler role, right? Like, this is the role he would have played, but wisely said, it's going to be too distracting, and it's already going to, it's already going to get accusations of being a Nepo baby project, and why make it worse by appearing in this? He's clearly put his money into it. His production company has gone through all the efforts to make this film work, and I think part of that is knowing when the head of the company and their big star should probably step back and let his daughter and the rest of this supporting cast get the spotlight. I think Ray already pointed out that this is kind of a musical, but not really a musical. Waitress is a real musical based on a real movie. And there is a lot of musical numbers and rehearsal scenes in this film. But yeah, it's not a musical. And I don't know if that's a lost opportunity or to the benefit of the material. What did you guys think about how they handled the music in this film?
I don't think that it's a lost opportunity at all. I love the fact that they built it around a musical, but didn't make it a musical, because especially if you're talking about Waitress, I mean, we're talking about something that's been done. It was a book, then it was a movie, then they made the Broadway musical, mostly based on the movie, then Netflix, I think it was actually HBO. HBO went back and shot the stage play. You can watch it. Sarah Bareilles came back and reprised her role in the lead to do that version of it. So you can go and watch the whole Waitress musical. And now we have a musical kind of built around people doing the musical of Waitress. I say all that to say, I think if they'd leaned into this just being the musical, the kids doing the musical Waitress, that first of all, it's been done. And second of all, that we would have lost interest in the characters themselves that are doing this. And as we've already said, we have some very good actors in this piece, and I would hate to have lost their performances outside of the musical aspect to them just doing the musical.
Yeah, and I think the character of the waitress who becomes pregnant, I think that idea of motherhood does connect the daughter to her own mother, and who also has issues with her own mother, played by Bebe Neuwirth.
Absolutely.
So it does allow for that opportunity for, mother and daughter to talk about, what was it like when you were pregnant with me? And she's a 16-year-old. What does she know? I mean, unfortunately, there are 16-year-olds who know about pregnancy, but this one doesn't. She doesn't know anything about it. She's rather innocent in that regards. And in between, you see some of the more lighthearted moments of being a teenager, like going to a friend's house because, hey, my parents are gone and we've got some booze, or kissing a boy backstage. Those little elements, things that would have happened regardless of whether her mother was sick or not. And that's really where the tension in the movie, I think, comes from, with her feeling like I should stop doing everything I'm doing and spend all this time with my mother, and the mother going like, no, you love this so much. It's so important to you. Don't stop. Keep doing it. And indeed, her and the Dad try to keep this a secret from the kids for as long as possible, but eventually it's going to come out.
Just they did such. It amazes me how they did such a good job of weaving it all together. The butt dial call that she overhears is the catalyst of why she gets the part she gets in,
Yeah.
because it affects her audition. It somehow takes her just a notch above, and then she spends the rest of the time trying to find that on her own without that particular catalyst doing it. So here's this hidden talent that peeks its head out, and now you got to tap into it even more. Just everything. This movie can't be lost in the annals of all the shit that Netflix does have. It's too good. They did too good a job on it. Everybody on it, and I hope to see what Sunny Sandler may do next, because she handles a lot here and handles it very well, and it's believable. Again, nothing feels forced of, oh, she's a moody teenage girl. No, there's moods, and it's just a teenage girl, but it's not the stereotype. There's a different take on it. It's this movie's version of it, and it's done so well.
I think the other thing that they handled really well was not just not putting her character into a stereotype. I think they did well not putting the rest of the characters into a stereotype, because, again, we're talking about a movie about high school. We're talking about a movie about high school doing a musical, all those things. And we have seen lots of those. We've seen High School Musical. We've seen Band Camp. We've seen, several of the other movies where they either are doing the musical or they go to camp to do the musical, or even, one of my favorites is Hamlet 2, and that takes that genre of High School Musical and runs it in a completely different way as well. And I think that here they do a good job with all of the characters. You do have the boy who's the leading man, and he gets to kiss all the girls and that sort of thing, but they take him in a slightly different direction as well. And you also get Sonny's character, we also get the lead character not necessarily falling all the way for his shtick, which is nice to see. And we get other people in the musical that are the ones who, I don't want to spoil it, but man, there is one of the characters who really thought she was going to get the lead, and she doesn't get the lead. And you expect what is the stereotypical thing you expect? You expect that person, that girl, to be devastated. You expect her to be snotty about it. You expect her to be the rivalry all the way along, trying maybe to make our main character screw up so she can get the role back. And I'm not going to spoil, what happens, but let me tell you, she's not the stereotype of the role that you would expect.
I'm glad you picked up on that, because that was also something that I made note of. There are some of these teenage characters who, if you just follow the tropes of this type of filmmaking, you just automatically make assumptions. You think, I know exactly how this character is going to behave and what they're going to end up being like. And make no mistake, this is a pretty predictable movie. It's not like, high concept or anything. There's no big twists or surprises here, apart from, I think maybe one too many contrived butt dials. I'm like, okay, movie, you get to play that card once. You don't get to play it a second time. Dad likes the butt dial. I don't know what he's doing down there. But to Ray's point, when you have a character in a film that feels this familiar and they do something that is not familiar, it feels refreshing, and it kind of injects a little bit of life into something that could be very trite and easily dismissed.
And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. You're right. The film itself, if you look at the overall arc of the story, yes, you're probably not going to be surprised. But there are other things about this film that push it above the level that it should be at when you look at it, just on the surface.
And at 95 minutes, it doesn't waste a lot of time.
Oh, no.
It's, even if you don't care for this movie, it's not going to take a long time and wear its welcome out. It's a pretty brisk, quickly told story. And it's really kind of limited to the amount of time of the rehearsal process, which I did like. That kind of gives it a ticking clock. You go from auditions to opening night, and that's the time your movie takes. And In high school, it's going to vary, but we're probably talking 2 or 3 weeks tops. Maybe a semester. I don't know. It just depends on how this school handles their rehearsal schedules, but I'm sure they do more than one show a semester. There's not a lot of time. And also you realize that the mother doesn't have a lot of time either. And I have to admit, the first time we see Melanie Lynskey get sick, her and her daughter, they're having a nice mother-daughter day, and she's delightful in this. And then suddenly, at some point, she just vomits blood. And not like a gross thing, but it's just a quick moment. And I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those movies where, a character has cancer, they're probably going to die, but they're fine the whole movie, except for when the movie goes, oh, wait, I have to remind people that this person is dying of cancer. This is not a grisly movie by any means, but I was worried that they would not treat that sensitively or realistically. And if you've ever had loved ones with cancer, terminal or otherwise, they're miserable. They're not running around having chipper days. They're usually exhausted. They're in pain. And a lot of times in movies, people are just, they're just sort of sick. They're like, oh, I'm very sick. But we never really see them sick, It's like movie star. It's Hollywood cancer. They always have nice lighting and they act a little tired. They put a little makeup, but they don't really look like they're suffering. And this movie doesn't put you through the ringer that way. But by the end, you do start to see that this is taking a toll on Melanie, who wants nothing more than to just go to her daughter's opening night. And it's questionable whether she'll be able to do that. And I appreciate that the movie kind of handles that sensitively. They don't go into all the gross aspects of having a serious disease, but they don't do the sort of Ally McGraw approach to cancer where you just look more radiant the closer to death you get.
She's fading.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
It's how I kind of saw it. She's fading, and if you really want to get into it, her star is fading as her daughter's star is starting to shine, but the character's fading away. Yeah. And I agree with you. They do a good job of it. There's a couple of big reminders, but she starts to be slower. She starts to be always sitting down in every scene. She's got less color. Her shoulders are sagging. Like she's fading is how I kind of felt they did it. And it was good.
Yeah. And it was good to see her not be like that because you need the contrast. You need to know what we've lost. You need to see her being vibrant and being a good active mom and just, being in her kids' lives and just being this very loving, supporting person who suddenly goes from being kind of the rock of the family to being the one who has to be cared for. It's a really good performance from Melanie Lynskey. I can't say enough about her handling what could be a very just treacly, sentimental, tear-jerking role.
If anyone hasn't watched Yellow Jacket, she is top tier in that. It's a different kind of mom role, way crazier premise in that show, but she is amazing in that show.
If you look at it too from the perspective of someone who has been a theater nerd, and you've got other people who are not theater nerds, and they both may end up watching this. And I think the other thing that the movie did balance very well is you don't have to be a theater nerd to enjoy this, and you might enjoy it if you're not a theater. You know what I mean? It's just. It doesn't lean so heavily on one or the other. And of course, even when they are in the moments of the theater, they're using that as the catalyst for the rest of the story. So you're not going to get, I think that was one of the things that they did well, to not have this just be a musical or a musical of a musical, so that you can have someone watch this who could care less about theater, but they're not going to have to sit and maybe, and I don't want to use, well, I'll use this word, they don't want to have to suffer through long, drawn out sequences of a bunch of people singing and dancing, or something like that. And so I think that's another place that they hit a good balance with this, so that different people could watch it. Because when we sat down to watch this, Neil and I, my sister's was here as well. And both my sister and I are the theater nerds. And not that, Neil doesn't know anything about theater, because he knows some, but Neil is decidedly not the theater nerd in the house, but yet all three of us
I was
liked it.
Lumberjack 4 in a junior high production of Lumberjack and Ladies, I think,
Wait a minute.
and had no lines. So
Yeah. And as you can hear from the way we're talking, we both enjoyed this film immensely.
Yeah, on that note, I think we need to get into our final thoughts. Neil, would you kick us off, please?
don't pass this movie up. I signed up to do it not just as viewing something with Lorray, but all right, it's a musical about a musical. I was totally wrong. This is a very good movie. It's because it's a coming of age movie. This could be the alpha point of a really good star. Like, there's lots of reasons to watch this. Melanie Lewinsky, it's done so well. And to every point we said, it's even fast. It's just about an hour and a half. It's not this huge time sink. You may not cry, but you're gonna laugh. You're gonna enjoy it. So don't skip by it on Netflix. I'm gonna give it 9 out of 10 pairs of driving gloves.
Ray, what are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to echo not only what Neil said, but I'm going to look at it from the perspective of I didn't know what to expect going into this, except that there was something about high school theater nerds. And I got a movie that was not the movie I expected. I got a movie that becomes a superior film about that period of high school and a bunch of high school theater nerds because of the care that is taken around it, because of the other aspects of the story, because of the humor, because of the fact that they don't fall into stereotypes, even though this film may be predictable and could have fallen into every stereotype very easily. Like I said, you may or may not be surprised at what goes on in the course of the film. You may not be surprised by the ending or anything like that, but it is well worth your time. And I agree with Neil. Don't let this fall away, because I look at it as great performances by everyone in it, and a film that could have been nothing but another boring stereotype. We've seen all this before. I watched this movie last week on Netflix in some other form, blah, blah, blah. And they find ways to raise it above and beyond with the writing and the casting and the directing. So please go out and watch this movie. Don't don't sleep on it. And I am going to give it 9.5 out of 10 musicals that we never would have been allowed to do in high school when I was doing musicals in high school.
How very true. No, we would not have been allowed to do this in my high school, I'm sure. But times have changed. Who knows? I mean, they probably do Year in Town. They probably do all kinds of crazy shit now. They've probably done Book of Mormon and what's the one with the puppets that curse? I'm sure kids today can handle it. I don't know. I'm old and I don't have kids, so I don't know what they do in high school anymore. But it wasn't so long ago that I can't remember what it was like to be backstage, to have those opening night jitters, to wonder like, oh my God, I have to kiss someone on stage, or do I know my lines, or how do I balance, my personal life and having to go to the theater every day and do this? Those elements really work for me. There's still some part of me that is convinced that Sonny Sandler at some point auditioned for a high school version of Waitress and didn't get cast, and her dad said, "Don't worry, baby, I'll make you the star of Waitress one way or the other." I don't know. That, I imagine, will easily overshadow a lot of conversations about this film, and it certainly colored my viewing of the experience, because in a world where Sonny Sadler isn't the daughter of a famous movie star with his own production company and a Netflix deal, would she be cast in this compared to all the other actors who would have auditioned for it? I don't know. That's a question we can't answer. My longtime sort of policy towards quote-unquote Nepo babies is having a famous parent can open a lot of doors. It can get you into a lot of rooms. But once you're in the room, you kind of have to prove that you have the right to be in that room. You might be able to get away with a vanity project or two, but eventually people will decide whether or not you're worth hiring again. It remains to be seen what will happen to Sonny Sandler's career, but based on this particular film, if I knew nothing about her relationship to Adam Sandler or his involvement in this film, I would say she's really good in this. She's very natural. She's playing a teenage girl. That's believable. She's playing a teenage girl who is into High School Musicals. I have no problem believing that. And as I said before, I think the rest of the cast does a good job of finding that lightness of tone, but also feeling grounded and real, especially Melanie Lynskey. It's a short film. It is predictable as hell, but it has a few nice surprises, just as far as people doing things that don't fit the stereotype of what you think they're going to do. And I like that. I don't think I loved it as much as you guys did, if I'm being perfectly honest, but it's still a good enough film that it shouldn't just be buried in the Netflix algorithm as it almost certainly will. It's not as good as other films about theater, like recently, like Sing Sing or even Ghostlight, which I liked quite a bit. Check out Ghostlight if you haven't. That's a great little movie. And like that movie, Don't Say Good Luck could easily disappear as well if people don't seek it out. It's worth checking once. Like Neil said, it's 95 minutes. You know, you can spare 95 minutes. You've wasted 95 minutes on shittier movies, some of which also starred Adam Sandler, I'm sure. I'm going to give this 7.5 out of 10 kill raps that nobody wants. So that is the end of our podcast. We're going to take a bow and thank you all for coming tonight. And remember, next time you're in a theater and you ever say Macbeth, I need you to run outside, spin in a circle 3 times and spit over your left shoulder, and then and only then will I let you back into the theater.